in America, you got to have strength to be a woman, period, in today's society, especially with all the sexual harassment going on. It don't make things no better. But back in the 60s, man, you got to have had extraordinary strength. You have to have that strength like Samson, because knowing that the adversities that you was going to face and that you did face when you went on the road with white guys, white women, I can imagine the strength that you have to have when you got finished wrestling, where you was going to stay, who room you was going to stay in, being black, whether you're going to have to sleep in the trunk of the car, or rather you're going to have to sleep in the bathroom, in the bathtub in a motel, or what, because you didn't know what a city held. You wasn't just talking about the Ku Klux Klan in South Carolina. You're talking about them all the way across the country. So oh my God, she had to have strong willpower. And I'm talking about she had to have some strong faith. Because guess what? If you got faith, you don't need to see. And if you can see it, you don't need faith. Now that's a preaching moment there. But she had strong willpower. Even when she got out of wrestling, coming out of wrestling didn't have no money. She been, wrestling all them years. That's just like being on a job for 20 years and you think you have some retirement, and when you get out of that, you ain't got nothing. So it's just like you don't wasted 20 years of your life and you ain't got nothing. You ain't got no money, you ain't got no nothing. But I'm gonna tell you, and I'm sorry, if this throws your documentary off, but people look at the Fabulous Moolah and say Fabulous Moolah this and the Fabulous Moolah that. You talking about Moolah talk, and people saying, oh, she did this and she did that to my mother. No, she didn't. Okay, there was a percentage that she had to pay. Okay, what happened to the money that my mother sent home for us? That money was squandered by family, not by the Fabulous Moolah, not by Buddy Lee. My aunties, who my mother entrusted to send money home for her kids. And for her, when she come home, she have some money. Everybody else had nice things but us. So my family squandered Sweet Georgia Brown, not the Fabulous Moolah. My family, her brothers and her sisters didn't support Sweet Georgia Brown, what she was doing. Not the Fabulous Moolah.
Talked about your mom being the first ever African-American wrestler from South Carolina and the Texas champion. Is there any other accomplishments you think that your mom would like to be remembered by?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
She's my mother. That's the biggest accomplishment that can ever happen. She's my mother. And and to see the glow on people's faces, the elderly folk faces, especially guys, when they hear Sweet Georgia Brown, they say, "Oh my God, boy, I remember Sweet Georgia Brown." And I even had guys say, "That was my baby, that was my girlfriend," and I know they don't even know my mama from Man on the Moon. But I think, like I said, I think it was a great accomplishment for her to be in the wrestling industry during that time, because it set the pathway, for black athletes. I know we hear things about Gail Sayers and all them, and these male pro athletes and whatnot, and oh yeah, they did great. They did great. But what about the women? I think my mother did something for South Carolina. I think she paved the way for black girls in South Carolina. And I think that's great. And one of the greatest things that not only she did for South Carolina, Let me tell you what the state of South Carolina did for her. The state of South Carolina did a Senate resolution on my mother. And I think that's great because that's in the history books forever now.